We're live here at One Jets Drive. Busy day in Florham Park. Busy day across the National Football League. Ethan Greenberg, Eric Allen. The trade deadline is officially in the rear view. The Jets made 4 trades, 3 of them today, and 2 big blockbuster deals. Sauce Gardner getting traded to the Indianapolis Colts. Quinnen Williams is now a Dallas Cowboy, and the Jets have now a plethora of high draft capital, including a 2026 first-round pick, a 2026 second-round pick, and 2 2027 second-round picks when it's all said and done from those 2 trades specifically.
Yeah, it's a historic day for this franchise, and, you know, when you look at it, those guys, Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, made tremendous contributions to the organization. But at the end of the day, for GM Darren Muji, the personnel department, and head coach Aaron Glenn, these guys get into meetings and say, what are the values of our players? If we do indeed get calls on some of these guys, what is our value on them? And in turn today, obviously the Indianapolis Colts start the day where Darren Muji just talked to reporters, and he said that the offer increased over time, and it got to 2 first-round picks in A.D. Mitchell. And for Sauce Gardner, the Jets liked the value there.
Yeah, and Darren Muji said that he felt that the offers were simply too good from the other teams not to accept. And so also, if you're watching this right now, make sure to send in some questions, some comments. We're going to be taking those as they come in the feed. And, you know, Darren Muji said it. This is not an easy day for him, for the staff. It's probably not an easy day for Jets fans because not only did the Jets trade 2 very good players, but they also did receive a lot of flexibility in the future and high draft capital as well.
Yeah, but one thing's clear is that both, and we talked to Aaron Glenn as well, so you'll be able to see that on NewYorkJets.com and YouTube and on Jets Game Day this weekend, which airs on CBS Sunday mornings here, is that the Jets want to win now, but also you're looking at the future of this franchise and what are the assets that are going to move this organization forward? You're talking about an unprecedented situation here where I go back to 2000 and think about the 4 first-round picks in 2000. Now, that's 25 years ago. Now you're talking about 5 first-round picks over the course of the next 2 years, and you do have a pair of second-round picks as well that you got in return today.
Yeah, and, you know, I think that what we saw with the Quinnen Williams deal going to Dallas, there are rumors as to what the 2027 first-round pick from Dallas is because Dallas has 2 first-round picks.
That's right.
They have their own, and they have the Green Bay Packers with the Micah Parsons trade. It was rumored that the Jets have the higher of the 2. So does that mean the better of the 2 or the higher numerical value in terms of 1 to 32, depending on how next season goes for the Cowboys? That is to be determined from our end. But look, I think that if you're a Jets fan, you should be excited for the future. But what Darren Muji did say is, to your point, it's still about winning football games, still about winning the season as the Jets embark on the second half of theirs.
Yeah, and everybody in this organization knows those 2 guys are outstanding football players, Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. But when you're Darren Muji, when you're Aaron Glenn, and you're sitting here at 1-7 at the trade deadline, and these offers are coming in, you have to assess value. You owe that to everybody inside the organization. You owe that to your entire fan base. And again, you got players in return as well.
Yeah.
In John Mechie, that was part of the Michael Carter deal that also involved a pick swap.
Yeah, that was the one that kind of got everything started last
but
week.
today, this is an unprecedented day for the organization when you're talking about the 3 trades, which culminated with Jasir Taylor coming over from the Chargers, but you also bring in A.D. Mitchell and Mazi Smith as well.
The Jasir Taylor trade kind of snuck in there at the buzzer of the NFL trade deadline, which was 4 o'clock. And look, I think that when you take a look at what the Jets have done, and Darren Muji said it, he said that the 1-7 record that this team had did not influence his decision to trade Quinnen Williams, to trade Sauce Gardner. He made it sound like it was very simple. Every week he meets with the staff. They have, to your point, they assess value comps, the values, and the deals were too rich for the Jets to pass up on.
Well, and then that's the thing. The Jets made it very clear. Aaron Glenn was asked about this prior to the trade deadline. What's your approach going to be coming up next week? And he said, you always are going to listen. That doesn't mean there's going to be action. But when the Colts had an offer with 2 first-round picks on the table and an interesting receiver, the Jets assessed that value and said, where we're at, that's a good move for us. Quinnen Williams, a phenomenal football player, a staple within the community. He did so many good things here. But again, for an interior defensive lineman who's one of the better defensive tackles in football, you're bringing back a guy who's a former first-round pick, who's known as more of a run stuffer. He's had some more ups and downs in Dallas so far early in his career, but you'll have to see what you can do with him. You got a first-round pick this year. A second-round pick this year in the Quinnen Williams deal, and a first-round pick next year. And everybody's talking about externally. We don't examine the 2027 draft class every day here because we're looking at what's happening as far as in season and covering this team day by day. But the pundits out there are saying the 2027 draft could be historically good, and you're setting yourself up where you do have 3 first-round picks. And again, who knows what it's going to look like once you get to 2027. But we know next year the Jets have 2 first-round picks. And potentially, you could have 4 picks in the top 50 in 2026.
The 2027 draft you mentioned is far. The 2026 draft is pretty far as well. And the Jets have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds there, 2 in the first, 2 in the second. You mentioned A.D. Mitchell as being the return piece from the Indianapolis Colts for the Sauce Gardner trade. And you mentioned him as an interesting prospect. Yeah. Very young. 23 years old. This is someone who ran a 4.3 at the Combine a couple years ago, and he led the Big 12 his last year and his only year at Texas before he declared for the draft. This was a player who won 2 championships at Georgia before he went to Texas.
So the Jets went in a bye without their star receiver, Garrett Wilson. He missed for a couple of games. He's going to be back on the practice field. Hopefully he's on the field this week against the Cleveland Browns. But right now at the receiver position, the Jets are trying some different things out. And A.D. Mitchell is a guy who can separate. He's a guy who can separate down the field. And in Indianapolis, why is he out there, expendable from their perspective? That's a loaded team at the skill position spot right now. So for the Jets, they not only get the 2 first-round picks, but Mitchell as well, and he'll be able to come in here and compete for time, you would think, immediately.
Yeah, you would think so. And I think that this is where, Aaron Glenn always talks about coaching, taking players to the next level. This is a player that, like I said, he turned 23 last month in October. Yeah. So you're talking about coming into a situation with Sean Jefferson as the receivers coach, an opportunity for A.D. Mitchell to get playing time. You would imagine that coaching could take him to the next level. And Chris Ballard, when the Colts put out a statement about the trade in general, he said that the Colts are very much a fan of A.D. Mitchell, the player and the person. They wish him the best. And when you look at the Jets receiver room, obviously now there's Garrett Wilson, there's A.D. Mitchell. You have players like Tyler Johnson, Arian Smith, Allen Lazard. You mentioned John Mechie earlier. That was the first trade of the last couple days for the Jets, where the Jets traded Michael Carter II to the Philadelphia Eagles. They, in turn, received John Mechie III, who, again, has had some ups and downs as a pro because he was drafted in the second round out of Alabama in 22. He misses his rookie season with a subtype of leukemia. Then he plays 2 seasons with the Texans, gets traded to the Eagles, and now he's a Jet, and also, you would imagine, has a chance for significant playing time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Here's another receiver who comes in there. And then think about how all these trades are linked right now when you're looking at what the Jets are doing, because Darren Muji goes out and gets Jarvis Brownlee, who's been really good at the nickel cornerback spot. So then he makes the move. Michael Carter is shipped out to Philadelphia where, hey, maybe that's a need for the Eagles, but right now for the Jets, they're going with Brownlee, and they bring in a young receiver who's going to come in much like A.D. Mitchell and compete for reps immediately.
Also, just when you take a look at the Jets landscape as a whole on defense with Sauce Gardner out of the picture, you're going to get a significant look at A.Z. Thomas, who started for Sauce at Cincinnati. So that's another young player that the Jets are going to take a look down the stretch.
And that's a huge point, because Brandon Stevens had struggles early in the season. But over the course of the last 5 or 6 games, he's been one of the better corners in the NFL. The Jets loved his size, his physicality. And A.Z. Thomas, baptism by fire against the Cincinnati Bengals, no doubt about it. He gave up that touchdown reception to T. Higgins. He also did a lot of good things in that game. So you're speeding up his development because he's going to get valuable reps on the outside. The Jets secondary, the starting secondary, is going to include 2 rookies, Malachi Moore at the safety position, now A.Z. Thomas at the cornerback position, also a new nickel cornerback in Jarvis Brownlee, who's done a lot of good things, and he plays with an edge on that defensive side of the ball.
And some changing landscape at safety, too, considering Andre Cisco now out for the remainder of the season, which Aaron Glenn announced earlier this week on Monday. You know, we said earlier in the show, if you have YouTube comments, you have questions, fire them up. We have our first question, and it's, will the Jets take a quarterback in the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft? I feel like often when teams acquire multiple first-round picks, this is going to be your question. When you're 1-7, when you're not playing well, you're going to be like, are you going to take it? We don't know.
Well, you have to let it all play out, right? And the Jets are 1-7. Justin Fields is coming off his best game of the 2025 season. We don't even know who's going to get the start on Sunday.
That's a great point.
Aaron Glenn is keeping his cards close to the vest. He said that to start the week. But with that being said, you do have, let's take quarterback out of the equation. You have flexibility heading into the 26 and 27 draft. This is an unprecedented deal when you're talking about the 2 1s in 26, the 3 1s in 27. So you can't sit here in November 2025 and say, well, this is what it's going to look like in 27. We don't know. But with that kind of ammo, you can move around the draft board, okay? Both in 26 and 27.
Yeah, what the Jets have done is, and Darren Muji has done, they've bought themselves flexibility, and they had to make some very difficult decisions. And if you're just joining us, we're breaking down the trade deadline moves that the Jets and Darren Muji have made. 4 total trades, the 2 headliners being Sauce Gardner to the Indianapolis Colts for a 2026 and 2027 first-round pick. In return, the Jets receive A.D. Mitchell. And then Quinnen Williams later this afternoon gets traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a 2026 second-round pick, a 2027 first-round pick, and in return, the Jets get defensive tackle Mazi Smith, to your point, drafted in the first round of a couple drafts ago, number 26 overall.
His third professional season. He's a big space eater. It's going to be interesting to see what that defensive interior rotation looks like. Muji went the trade route to acquire Harrison Phillips and Jawan Briggs. Briggs has given you a lot of very good snaps. I mean, when you look at Muji so far as what he's done from a trade perspective, he's really increased the talent on the roster, also the depth on the roster. So when people talk about trade grades, I think we have this instant reaction where we got to have a draft grade on it. Well, we're not really going to know about these grades on a trade, these trades specifically, until 2027 and beyond.
And yeah, exactly. And beyond is the right way to go about that. You think about the last time the Jets made a deal of this type of magnitude, they received 2 first-round picks in exchange for Jamal Adams, and they used the second of those 2 picks for Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, and that's the thing here. And Muji knows this, and the personnel department knows this, and everybody associated with the Jets knows this, that you're going to have to hit on draft picks. But anybody in this position who is taking over an organization that has not won for a number of years, who is 1-7 right now at the trade deadline, knows this is a build. But they are doing this while also establishing a brand of football. Aaron Glenn is not letting go of the rope just because Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner are exiting the building. He's going to demand a level of play from the guys here. It's going to be different, and those guys were former All-Pros. I mean, they're very good ball players, elite ball players. I mean, former All-Pros. But with that being said, you owe it to yourself as a GM to look at every player in the roster and say, what are their value to us? And if the value on the outside exceeds that, then you have to make a tough decision.
Look, it's a tough decision for Darren Muji, Aaron Glenn, and both of their staffs. It's a tough if you're a fan, you're probably just a lot of information to digest. And if you're a player too, I mean, Jermaine Johnson took to Twitter earlier today after the trade deadline and has said, I'd be lying if I said I was happy for my brothers because they're gone, because I'm not happy, but he's very much strongly believes in the organization, the staff, and my other brothers in the locker room. I said when I got drafted, I wanted to be the reason or part of the reason this thing here at the Jets gets changed for the better, and that's going to continue to be my outlook. I love this team and this fan base, and y'all will continue to get my absolute best on and off the field. Let's look onward and upward because better things are coming, and I give my word on that. Go Jets always.
Professional, classy. I mean, Jermaine brings it on the field, but he also brings it off the field in terms of his mindset. Of course, he's hurting to see two of his guys go out the door. With that being said, he's got confidence in the future. And for everybody in that Jets locker room, you want to be part of the reason why the Jets ultimately turn this thing around.
Yeah, and as we wrap up here at the end of a very hectic day at 1JD, I know we've kind of broken it down from a number of different angles, but just to recap and kind of get your final thoughts, 4 total trades over the course of the last couple days. Slap says very good value for all the trades that Muji obtained.
Yep.
All of the trades being Michael Carter II to the Eagles for John Mechie III. Then today, Sauce Gardner to the Colts for 2 first-round picks and Adonai Mitchell. Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys for a 2026 second and a 2027 first-round pick, and the Jets got Mozzie Smith. And then finally, at the buzzer of the trade deadline, Jasir Taylor, depth piece at corner to the Chargers. Also, Jasir Taylor, fun fact, he's from Asbury Park, New Jersey, down the road. The Jets give up a 2028 conditional 7th-round pick. So you hear all those things. You think about the players gone, the capital now that the Jets have moving forward. Just what's your quick synopsis of what's been a very hectic last couple days here?
Well, it's a historic day. I'm looking down at my phone. It's November 4th, 2025. We're going to be talking about this day for years to come because you have the potential to change the direction of your franchise with these assets, with this capital, and you have to make good on that. And it's always tough when you send out guys who are not only good players, but well-liked inside the building. And Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams are going to continue to be good players for the Indianapolis Colts and the Dallas Cowboys. And for people inside the organization, we thank them for everything they did here. But for Muj, for Aaron Glenn, this is strictly value. And you assess their value and also what you can get in return. If the teams come in with offers you basically cannot refuse, you have to do what's right for your organization today and moving forward. And they did just that today.
I think you hit the nail on the head, especially when you think what Darren Muji said. He felt the offers today over the course of the trade deadline were just too good from the other teams to pass up.
I mean, Greens, and I will say this too, that who knows? I mean, what was the Colts' initial offer? Because if you told a lot of people before the trade deadline you were getting 2 ones for Sauce Gardner, a lot of people on the outside would say you take that. Not a knock on Sauce. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, bar none. But you 2 ones. And then Quinnen Williams, again, a 2 this year, a 1, and a former first-round pick. And then with the Colts trade, an intriguing young receiver who's, again, his chapter is not closed. He's starting a new journey here with the New York Jets.
It's a great point. And look, Darren Muji said it. Tough decisions were made today from him and his staff. It's not easy getting rid of very talented players. The Jets, in turn, now have a lot of draft capital and a lot of flexibility moving forward in 2026, 2027, and beyond. And for your full breakdown and information of all things Jets, especially today from the trade deadline, be sure to check out NewYorkJets.com. And thanks for watching. Bye.